This video is a short introduction to a similarly short block of learning that Ben Annis and myself have put together around to try and capture some of the work that we've been doing in Learning Space. So along with a number of other colleagues that we've been speaking to, and through our own work and building on the work of other colleagues who've used some of these methods before, what we were looking for was to review the way that we present learning moving into September 2020, and to try and make things more blended. So the first approach we've taken really is to try and disaggregate some of the content from a lecture and think about it as the type of content that traditionally wraps around a lecture, and then to try and find a way of presenting that content in a more equally presented way, where the lecture is part of a block of content rather than the lecture being the single block with all the content in it. Learning Space has traditionally been used as something that runs in parallel to lectures. So a lecture is given and the content that is related to that lecture is placed on Learning Space as a depository, which is fine, but increasingly we look at lots of different pages of my own, and there's a scroll of death where we roll down and we need to look ever deeper into the page to find the content, and so it doesn't really have its own narrative. So what we've been looking for is, pedagogically and technically, trying to find a way of creating a narrative in Learning Space which includes the lecture, includes practicals, includes workshops. So this captures some of the work that we've looked at. There's really two main blocks. The first part is our thoughts on the top page of Learning Space and how we can make that slicker and more easier to navigate, and that involves collapsed topics and also minimising the number of clicks which are in any given week. Rather than having the depository there, it should really, we think, we should just be nice and clean. It should be one click into the content, and then once we enter that content we get onto the second part. So that's where I've made a video about the use of books. So we've played around with lots of different tools, but we think books is the way to go. What we've then included on the final page is, as for our own feedback, for real, but also as an example, we've tried to include some of the Learning Space feedback. So the whole thing has content in it, but also it's intended to be a demonstration, and to be honest, it's been a way of us practicing how we might be presenting work next year. So I hope you find it useful. Please have a look at the feedback at the end and fill it out, because we will be reviewing it, and we can add content to it once it's made and once you've given your feedback, and we can make it better for other people. So thanks a lot for watching. Hope you enjoy this.